We are in Miami on our way to Quito, Ecuador. We have barely slept for an hour, I think. We left home at 4 a.m. Yes? Yeah. And we are in Miami waiting for our flight to Quito. We're having cocoa flan for dessert. First night in Quito. We're staying our first night here in the Hilton. Just had dinner and the food was very cheap. We had dinner for two with wine and dessert and tip. Everything came out to $50. Pretty good at the Hilton.
Part of Quito, which is what you have at your back, to the most southern part of Quito, which is something you have in front of you. We have 42 miles. The hotel is the financial district and also the wealth chapels, churches, like the one we're going to see today. And the rest of them are going to be Spanish palaces and secular buildings. One of the largest religious temples in America, far the largest temple here in Ecuador, religious temple. It's not as old as the churches we're going to see later. Yeah. It's very much like the ring for us. That's the pico feather in the pants. The ones that don't have the pico feather, they're married. In other communities like the one we're going today, they're going to expose their shoulders. At every column, between the big windows, we have one column, and at every column we have a pair of animals coming out. It's almost 5 feet below the balcony edge. The very first two ones are going to be a pair of Galapagos sharks. Then if you move to the north, let's say my right, you're going to see a pair of iguanas. If you move a little more, you're going to see a pair of land iguanas. Look at the next ones, are going to be some marine iguanas. You can tell they by their fins. If you keep going on, the very last pair of animals are going to be a couple of giant tortoises. Yeah. If you move a little further, let's say at the upper level, nearby their roof, you're going to see birds from Galapagos. Wait a minute, please. San Francisco, right?
This is the Quito City Basilica, and from what our tour manager just told us, this was built designed by a French architect, kind of to resemble the Notre Dame. Also, the construction is not complete yet, because up until 2007 and 2009, the construction was financed by the government. Until in 2007 or 9, they separated the church and the state, and then from that point on, the church has to finance this construction on their own. Basically, he said, if you ask the locals as to why the church construction is not complete, they would say that the church mentions that if the construction is complete, then that would mark the beginning of the final judgment, and so which means that the construction will keep going on. But the fact is that they do not have the money because of the separation of the church and state, and now they have to raise their own funds for the construction of the church. And as was mentioned by him, Daniel, our tour manager, these animals on the facade are some of the animals from the Galapagos and the Andes. Just for reference, this is the Basilica, and this is the neighborhood here.
Years, the native people were treated by the Spaniards as indigenous, or they used the expression indio. to relate, some socially inferior people. We have some people that have, some issues like alcohol, for example. We have a lot of issues of alcohol, especially in native communities. So let's say it's quite common to hear your mother say like, hey, you're drinking like an Indian, what's wrong with you? So like, we're not gonna invite Daniel, not me, the other guy. It's your ex, drinking like an Indian. In the southern part of Ecuador, almost 3 hours from here. I can tell easily here in Ecuador where the native person comes from, only after seeing their outfit. Yes, like if they wear, let's say, long skirts, black color, they're gonna be puro eyes. We might see tonight or tomorrow morning along the day in Otavalo, we're gonna see some people wearing blue skirts. There are some ones that wear just like skirts only until their knees. So 36 native communities in the whole country. And all of them look different from each other.
Only cloistered nuns live here, so no.
Cloistered nuns live here? Okay, so there's no... Oh, used to, not anymore. Okay. That statue in the distance is Maria de la Apocalypsis, Mary of Grace. The Apocalypsis of Revelation.
The big square. That's the name of the place where we are in Spanish, Plaza Grande.
Plaza Grande.
Yeah, but physically it's not really, the largest square in the whole city. We have some places which are even bigger. We call it Plaza Grande because the secular and also the religious power is concentrated here. If you face the statue of Mary on top of the hill, you're going to have at your right the presidential palace.
Presidential palace.
Then you're going to have across the square the city hall. Right in front of us you have the Metropolitan Cathedral. And right behind you, what you have is the Bishop's Palace, the place where the bishops live.
Oh, this is the Bishop's Palace.
That is where French people came to Ecuador.
That's the cathedral. We're inside the Bishop's Palace, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, very interesting. There's only 2 places nowadays. If you want to get closer, I know them already very well. They have nothing to do with the KKK. Well, actually, that was the way how in the 1600s the Spaniards forced people to pay their penitence. Right? So during Good Friday nowadays, there's only 2 places all over the world that you have like a gigantic procession of people wearing, these purple masks. Why purple? It must be purple because of the mourning color, and it's also the season color for the religious people. During all Eastern time, the priests especially have to wear purple outfits. These people were never allowed to expose their faces because, they were considered sinners. The procession, included people carrying crosses on their shoulders, chaining their feet, and also flagellating themselves. Any other place in the world celebrates the service except Quito and Seville, Spain. Right? They are called cucuruchos. And the cucurucho, the word cucurucho comes from cone that is very used in Italy. That's something.
Very beautiful courtyard. Oh, wow. Amazing. Oh, wow. Look at that.
So you remember what the city was founded by the Spaniards? 15 only 3 years after it has already by. Second courtyard, we're going to see another courtyard by the end of the tunnel, and another one that we don't have access. Only the very wealthy people could enroll their daughters. Since 1800s, when we finally create public education, most of these rich people prefer to enroll their daughters to public universities instead of sending them to the convent. And of Of course, a little bit are turning into cultural centers, libraries, restaurants, hotels.
Yes, because of the separation of church and state and no income for the church anymore, this is what has happened to the Bishop's Palace. You even sell alcohol in the Bishop's Palace. Well, apparently there is one little area. This is where the bishop lives, actually. One small area.
And actually, the 6% of the worldwide demand for cocoa is supplied by Ecuador. Nowadays, the largest production of cocoa is in Ivory Coast. They cover almost the 32% of the worldwide demand.
So that's the Basilica that we visited, and this is we are back at the square, and the statue of Mary.
River. You should know that since tomorrow afternoon, we're going to take exactly the same path that the Spanish mission took in order to reach El Dorado until our arrival to the Amazon Hotel. Exactly the same road that the Spaniards took almost 500 years ago. We're gonna take tomorrow in order to reach our hotel.
So this is the place where they started the quest to discover El Dorado, and then they ended up finding the Amazon River, and it was carried on by the Dominicans, who were funded by the Catholic Church. Apparently this used to be a Jesuit church, and they were later expelled from here, and it became a university. And then after university, it was a prison for some time as well. Here you have some kind of protest outside the municipal building. This is democracy in action here. This is the monument of the independence or freedom, also called Independence Square.
First independent constitution in South America. That's why you know that lady out there, his name is
Liberta. Roman god of liberty.
Forcing with his wings the lion down here to live. You might wonder what the lions are doing here. We don't have lions, of course. But of course, lions were introduced here as a symbol of the colonialism from England. Lion running away from Condor's power, but no one has even seen the lions taking the meat. All these items are not introduced.
That's where you bought the baby. Oh my god.
Another church? Wow, look at that.
The screen here is being put in especially to avoid all those people that weren't baptized could face the altar. So during the service, all the people that were not baptized before, they could hear the service, but they couldn't participate during the communion. That's the main reason for the screen over here. And another reason, all those native people that were trying to get into the temple, that are coming, with some animals, with their bags, farmers, most of them, they were not allowed to participate during the service even, so that's why you have two different kind of floors. The wooden one that we will see later, and also the cobblestone. They could come, hear the service, but they couldn't face the altar. So that's the main reason. Everybody here is baptized? Yeah. No? That's new. It's not really a problem, Because remember, this place has service since 7 to 9 in the afternoon, has service again from 5 till 7, but along the day it turns into a cultural center. This is considered the most important expression of the Baroque style in South America. Jesuit Society Church. The Jesuits Church.
The Swiss Church.
Is everybody doing well? Karen, can you hear me? Do you need to whisper?
No, I can hear you fine.
Perfect. The name of the church where we are right now is La Compañía de Jesús, the Jesus Company. You may wonder where the name comes from. I would like you to know first that behind this big column there is a religious figurine.
So this is Baroque architecture. From what our tour manager said, the gold leaf coating would amount to only 148 pounds, but it's all covered with gold. It's marvelous, it's beautiful. It's a very busy place. School children. First Central Bank of Ecuador, but in 2000 they switched to the US dollar. It's just a museum now.
Regular milk that has been cutted with some lime,
Yes.
and they just separate away because it's a good source of protein.
We call it
But-
kumis in Colombia.
Kumi? Yeah, we call it suero. So
Suero.
it's the way in which just drink it like that, straight.
Yep.
You can find the incense all over the place because they're next to the churches. This is Plaza San Francisco. Here we're much closer now to the statue of Mary in the distance. This is the convent of the Franciscans.
Some of you were in Machu Picchu, right? Before. Thing. You might remember that for the Incas, these virgins of the sun, or the chosen ladies, were very important. When girls at the age of 12, after the very first period, chosen by the Inca, becoming the Inca's wives. Or actually,
So this is supposedly the largest religious complex in South America, and we're going to visit these galleries, which used to be catacombs beneath the church. But now the galleries make more money for the church than the catacombs. eroticism of the Jamaquaki. Sexuality was intimately tied to the spiritual world. It was considered a sacred force. Venus of Valdivia. Representation of nude women, exaggerated bust, prominent mons pubis. Wages, various stages of fertility, youth, pregnancy, labor.
They paint this with their hair.
Pre-Columbian replicas, 3500 BC. Wow.
Styles.
It's a pre-Columbian.
Señor, toma mi vida nueva antes de que la espera de los hombres necesiten tus palabras, donde parte la esperanza. Si buscas milagros, mira muerte y error desterrados, miseria y demonio, oídos leprosos y enfermos. Te llamo madre, porque de niño tuve una madre que me enseñaba aquel rosario hecho misterios, que dio olvido, yo regresaba. Ave María de mi niñez.
People begging for alms after church.
Top of the hill, this hill at your right, just in front of us, we have the very last battle against the Spaniards in May 24th, 1822. After the battle against the Spaniards, we became a big nation. Did you see the Ecuadorian flag? I'm sure you're going to see the flag almost everywhere. The flag is yellow at the top, it has a blue stripe in the middle, and a red stripe at the very bottom of it. The yellow color, the gold that was taken by the Spaniards since they arrived here in the 1500s. Am I right, Vicky? Yes. This is like that's why we learned in history, since we were kids. And I'm sure Vicky knows it's because it's the same flag of Colombia. It's exactly the same flag of Venezuela as well. We were part of the same nation until 1830. Panama was actually a department that was part of Colombia, but when the Panama Canal was being built, after a civil war, the northern part of Colombia got some independence and they became an independent nation called Panama. But Panama and Colombia used to be together, we're part of the same country. Ecuador was the very last piece of land that finally got independence from this great Colombia. This great nation was run by Simon Bolivar or Simon Bolivar for almost 8 years. Simon Bolivar or Simon Bolivar is everywhere in South America. We have countries that are called even Bolivar, like Bolivia. Yeah? You have freeways, villages, towns, provinces, cities, squares, schools, high schools, universities called Simon Bolivar. He was America by the Spaniards. Coffee was brought to Brazil by the Portuguese. The French introduced coffee to the area of, let's say, Aruba, northern Suriname, Guyana. But all the coffee that you find in Colombia, the best coffee in the world, Ecuador, was part of a coffee farmer's family. Look at your left, those are the suburbs of Quito. We call it suburbs because they are considered part of the outside of the urban area of Quito. That is like the middle lower class and also the poor areas of Quito City. Like, doesn't really matter if you have a car to go there. There's no, here at least you have some roads and streets that are gonna take you out there. So you can tell there are some 3 stories, 4 stories buildings. In one of the stories you might have 2 condos. One is going to be a 1,500 square feet condo. It's going to be here, close to $60,000. $50,000. Remember, because it's like you don't have all the services, public services that you might have if you live along the valley. The tall buildings are behind this hill that is the Saint John or San Juan. From here you can see part of the Hilton area, the place where the Congress is. So I remember very well what we did was collecting or cleaning all these ashes, put it in some plastic bags, and then they were donated to the farmers around because they're very good in nutrients for agriculture. So the city entirely was covered in 2 inches of ashes. The airport of Quito was closed for about 2 weeks. We didn't have planes landing in Quito for about 2 weeks. The close of you reached part of the Mount Chincha volcano. You took the cable car. So this is still the middle class part of Quito, the surroundings of Quito City. Like it's gonna be around 120,000 people. Not that expensive, but you're gonna be in a beautiful building with a swimming pool. Remember, same weather all year round. Ocean in the north, the blue sky of the Andes in the south, Pacific Ocean at the west, Atlantic Ocean at the east, and the red color at the bottom represents all that blood that was spilled by our heroes in order to finally reach our liberty. Same flag, Venezuela, Colombia, and Ecuador. The only difference is the coat of arms that we have in the middle. That's how we can differ the Ecuadorian, the Venezuelan, and the Colombian flag. Interesting, because anytime we play soccer between ourselves, we have to switch the jerseys.